and welcome to Catalan News. Today is the election day +1. Parties and commentators are working out how to understand the results and what the outcome will be. But there are two clear ideas. The pro-independence parties will keep the majority in the chamber, despite unionist Ciutadans being the most voted party, while the People's Party support has dramatically dropped. Only 4% of the voters chose Mariano Rajoy's party, which enforced the suspension of direct rule in Catalonia. Here at Catalan News, we'll go in depth with the results and we'll also talk about the investigation into the independence case. Carles Puigdemont and Mariano Rajoy assessed the results today, and while the deposed Catalan president called for a meeting with Madrid without conditions, his counterpart dismissed his proposal within 2 hours. In fact, Rajoy claimed that independent support is less than before on the grounds it has lost 2 MPs, but the overall number of voters tells a different story.
Despite everything that has happened, including police violence, dismissal of the government, imprisonment of leaders, imposition of direct rule, the pro-independence parties prevailed in the election. In fact, not only did they keep their parliamentary majority on December the 21st, but the number of voters in favour of a Catalan state went up. It has been a non-stop trend since 2014. 3 Novembers ago, almost 1.9 million people voted for independence in an unofficial referendum. The votes of all the pro-independence candidacies together put that figure up to 1.96 million in the 2015 Catalan election. Then, in the October 1st referendum, the tally of yes supporters broke the 2 million mark. Yesterday, even more people chose sovereignty. With the CUP party down to 4 seats and Esquerra with 32, Together for Catalonia is the main party in the bloc with 34 seats. Its leader, President Carles Puigdemont, promptly asked for a meeting with Madrid.
En aquest sentit, avanço que estic disposat a trobar-me a Brussel·les o en un altre lloc de la Unió Europea, que no sigui l'estat espanyol, per raons òbvies, amb el president Rajoy.
Mariano Rajoy's answer came less than 2 hours later and was far from encouraging.
Yo con quien tendría que sentarme es con quien ha ganado las elecciones, que es la señora Arrimadas.
Even though Arrimadas' unionist Ciutadans party won the election, the pro-independence parties have a majority in the chamber. While Rajoy did not flatly reject dialogue, he put one condition.
Yo haré un esfuerzo para mantener diálogo con el gobierno que salga de estas elecciones de Cataluña, pero como he dicho, haré también un esfuerzo para que la ley se cumpla.
Despite Rajoy's opposition to talks in the past few months, Puigdemont continues to insist, even involving the EU.
Perquè hem d'abordar la nova etapa política que comença a Catalunya, a l'estat espanyol i a Europa. I ha de ser una etapa presidida per solucions polítiques, no per repressió.
The chances that Rajoy comes round while Puigdemont remains dismissed are low. In fact, the Catalan president is still in Brussels, and it is not clear whether he will even be able to take office.
Puigdemont and Rajoy have drawn much of the attention today, but the most voted party in yesterday's election was Ciutadans. Its leader, Inés Arrimadas, will have no chance to govern unless the pro-independence parties fail to agree on who to appoint as president or what government should be appointed. She is hopeful for this option, but the main parties for the Catalan state do not seem to be willing to give her that opportunity.
Unionist Ciutadans will be the largest party in the parliament. They got 37 out of 135 seats, but the victory hasn't been as sweet as they would have wanted. Despite getting the most votes, more than 1 million, the unionist bloc won't be able to form an alternative government. After the election, the leader of Ciutadans admitted that unionist parties have to think still about what alternative solution they'll propose for Catalonia.
El procés sale debilitado de estas elecciones y el constitucionalismo sale reformado. Lo que pasa es que tenemos que plantearnos qué proyecto alternativo, qué proyecto constitucionalista, ilusionante, limpio, regenerador podemos ofrecer a todos los catalanes. Eso creo humildemente que ha sido lo que más han valorado los catalanes.
The Socialists will be the fourth force in the new parliament. They got 17 seats, only one more than in the last election. Its leader attributed the outcome to polarization, as the third way they propose is not yet seen as a real solution to overcome the two blocs. Rajoy's party in Catalonia will be the smallest party in parliament. The Catalan PP not only failed to maintain the number of seats, but also got its worst result in decades. In between, Catalonia in Common got 8 seats. The party refused to stand with either bloc. They stated that the outcome of the election doesn't solve the current situation.
També és unes eleccions que demostren clarament que el contenciós català, que la situació de Catalunya, la situació d'excepcionalitat de Catalunya que hem viscut aquests últims temps, segueix plenament oberta i que també demostra clarament que el gran derrotat d'aquestes eleccions és Mariano Rajoy i el govern del Partit Popular a Espanya.
Contrary to the unionist bloc, pro-independence parties make up a majority in parliament. As happened in 2015, the two main pro-independence parties fell short of a majority of seats to govern together. Esquerra Republicana will back Puigdemont to be invested as president.
Si Junts per Catalunya, evidentment, proposa el president Puigdemont, hem de treballar incansablement perquè aquesta possibilitat sigui real.
And the CUP party will play a key role once again. Despite going down from 10 to 4 seats, they hold the power to allow pro-independence parties to retain the majority in parliament and form a new government.
Parties weren't the only ones who had something to say today in the wake of the crucial and atypical Catalan election. In fact, some members of the European Parliament visiting Catalonia for the election called for the EU to force Spain into dialogue with the pro-independence parties. They think Brussels should mediate in this political conflict, and they have also urged the Spanish authorities to release the imprisoned 4 leaders backing a Catalan state.
The EU has to call on the Spanish government to not just respect the outcome of the elections yesterday, but to start dialogue.
Je pense que tous les États européens marqués par le centralisme et par une nostalgie d'un passé d'État-nation, le jacobinisme en France, le franquisme en Espagne, tous ces États sont aujourd'hui des États qui vont contre l'Europe et contre l'avancée de l'Union européenne. Et qu'aujourd'hui, l'Europe, c'est l'Europe des citoyens. Et les citoyens, ils sont corses, ils sont catalans, ils sont aussi espagnols, ils sont aussi français, bien sûr. Et tous ces peuples doivent être ensemble. Il n'y a pas des peuples qui sont au-dessus des autres. Tous les peuples ont les mêmes droits dans l'Union européenne qui se construit.
Coinciding with the day after the election, the Spanish Supreme Court has announced some news in the judicial independence case. The judge is officially from now on investigating 6 more independence leaders, including Esquerra's leader, Marta Rovira. She's the number 2 for Oriol Junqueras, who is in prison but will testify again at the court just after New Year's.
Most Catalans might be still catching their breath after the election. Yet, the case against independence moves forward. The Supreme Court broadened the scope of its investigation into pro-independence leaders to encompass 6 more people, including some major figures. Such is the case for former President Artur Mas, who gave a decisive lift to Catalonia's push for independence in 2012. The number 2 of the Esquerra Republicana party, Marta Rovira, is also being investigated. And while Vice President Oriol Junqueras is in jail awaiting trial for the same case, she has become one of the most prominent leaders of the pro-independence movement. Indeed, the judge summoned Junqueras to appear in court again on January the 4th. This would be more than 2 months since he entered in prison in the first place. Along with him, there are still 3 other Catalan leaders kept behind bars. Some face charges of rebellion for their role in the events that culminated in a declaration of independence on October 27th. In the past few days, defense lawyers already hinted that the Supreme Court could notably widen the investigation. Some said that the proceedings now also include pro-independence rallies, such as those held on Catalonia's National Day, and take into account roles played by public figures such as football coach Pep Guardiola.
In business news, Catalan exports overseas continue to ride the waves of the ongoing political storm. In fact, figures for October, when tensions between Spain and Catalonia reached crisis point, were the best on record for that month. Throughout October, Catalan companies exported goods to the value of 6.3 billion euros, the highest figure for that month since records began in the year 2000. All this as the political crisis intensified, with some companies moving their headquarters out of Catalonia. Previously, the value of exported goods had never exceeded the 6 billion mark. The total value of exports for the first 10 months of 2017 was around 60 billion euros. The increase in exports over the years looks promising for the future as the trend continues throughout the year. Let's move on now to a 200-year-old tradition and the biggest lottery drawing in the world, the Spanish Christmas lotto El Gordo, which was held today. Called La Grossa de Nadal in Catalan, it means the fat one for its high stakes. Catalonia fell far from hitting the jackpot, but that doesn't mean it went home empty-handed, winning a total of 35 million in the main 5 prizes. This is a drop in the bucket compared to what Catalans spend on tickets, over 364 million this year, a number which has decreased since last year. The reason might be some relationship with the harsh Spanish measures against the territory this autumn. Catalonia is the only territory in the state where Christmas lottery ticket sales went down by 7%. In fact, it has its own end-of-the-year lotto created to inject revenue in social programs, and its sales are drastically increasing by 25%. But to find out its winners, we'll have to wait until December 31st. That's all from us this year. In the meantime, you can stay up to date with all the goings-on in Catalonia online at catalannews.com. But before we go, here are some images of yesterday's historic Catalan election, with more people turning out to cast their ballot than ever before, 82% of the electorate. Thanks for watching, Buenas Festas, and see you next year.